up, guys? Today on the Knowledge Gap Show, we talk about how to not give an F. We introduce a new segment to the show called How to Grow Your Business, and listen to my favorite artist, Ed Sheeran, because he has a perfect song for this called I Don't Care. I'm your host, Joe Ignace. Let's get rocking. Welcome, you wonder of the world. I'm super excited for you to be here. Today we're talking about how to not give an F anymore. And I feel like everyone struggles with this problem. You know, it's kind of inspired by the episode we did on being disagreeable, and it's really helpful if you want to be successful in life. It's really helpful if you want to figure out what your purpose is, because in order to find a purpose in life, you have to say no to other things. You have to stop giving an F about some things and give more Fs about certain things. This whole episode is based on a really good book by this guy Mark Manson, which we'll be watching some videos from him today and reacting to those, and they're pretty funny. We all do these kinds of things, and when you can grow past this and you can stop giving an F, you will start to open up your mind to all the different opportunities of reaching your potential in life. So let's get started. This is going to be good. Okay, so in order to be successful in life, you've got to figure out your purpose. We've kind of talked about that. In order to decide what your purpose is, you have to be disagreeable, because you have to say no to some things and you have to stand for something or you'll fall to everything, right? And in order to be disagreeable, you have to stop caring what everybody thinks. I think we all struggle with this. It's an inherent human characteristic to want to fit in with everyone, but you can't fit in with everyone, and not everyone's opinions of you, right? If you were to try to fit in, actually matter or impact your life. You have to actually figure out whose opinion you care about and stop giving an F about all of the rest of the opinions, because some matter and some don't. And how this plays out in real life is this thing called the feedback loop from hell, right? When we start caring about what others think, we tend to start attacking ourselves in our mind, and we tend to get in this feedback loop from hell because we get socialized and conditioned to beat ourselves up all the time because we want everybody to like us. And when someone tells us something negative about us, we start to internalize and believe it. So let's watch this video really quick so I can show you kind of what I mean.
The feedback loop from hell is when we start judging our negative emotions as something that's bad. So it's when somebody who feels sad starts getting upset that they feel sad, or somebody who is anxious starts becoming anxious because they feel anxious.
Comment below if you've done this before.
It's this resistance to these negative experiences that just creates and compounds further negative experiences. And so people get caught in this loop where they're upset about the fact that they're upset, which makes them more upset. And then that causes problems, which makes them upset even more. And it keeps going on and on. And the only way out of that is to not give a fuck, is to say, you know what, sometimes you get upset in life, and that's just how it goes.
Right, you have to let it go. That's huge. I love this little 60-second little clip, right? So we get in this feedback loop from hell. We're angry at ourselves about being angry at ourselves about being angry at ourselves, and we just self-destruct, right? And our minds do this because of the stories that I'm about to tell you when you're growing up. So if this has happened to you, or you agree with this, comment below if this has happened to you, right? So why this matters is because if we care too much about what others think, we stop being ourselves, we stop sharing ideas, we don't get out of our comfort zone, we develop a fear around us of doing things that are purpose-driven, right? And we decide to not even have a purpose, because what if someone says something about us, or what if this thing happens to us? Oh no! But then you're just robbing the world of your talents and your ideas that can be helpful to people, right? So this is super important. And so how we get this way, if you can understand that, you can start working your way backwards to stop caring. And when you stop caring, you just become a more authentic version of yourself, which is so funny, because when you're just being you and you're authentically you, and you start finding friends who enjoy those things about you. And so you take off all this pressure of trying to fit in and chameleonize yourself with everybody, and you just are yourself. And when you're just yourself, there's definitely people who are not going to maybe vibe with your personality, and you just don't care. Because is life really about pandering to be what everyone else wants you to be, or is it about being yourself, right? You know, if you want to figure out your purpose, you've got to be real with yourself about who the heck you are, right? Identity determines your actions. I love talking about this story because it's really the opposite of what we're normally conditioned to think. And I'm going to use Justin Bieber and a little story from my high school childhood to explain how we start giving an F about what others think and why it's silly for us to, one, partake in caring what others do and being sort of the person who will say negative things to others, and also, two, to where we don't care what people say to us about certain things. Instead, we're smart about where we get our opinions from and whose opinions we actually care about, right? Because how to not give an F isn't about not caring about things. It's about caring about the right things to you. How this happens is like you got somebody like Justin Bieber who's, back when I was in middle school and high school, he was the big thing and he had this, beautiful bowl haircut or whatever haircut it was, but he had these awesome hair or whatever. And when you're thinking about him, you usually think of Justin Bieber in one of two ways. You either are a believer where you're like his biggest fan, you love his music ever since he's been around. You might be somebody who likes his later music, or you're somebody who just vehemently doesn't like Justin Bieber. And if you think through the psychology of why you do or do not like Justin Bieber, it's kind of funny. For those of you who don't like Justin Bieber, you can have maybe some disagreements, and this isn't all-encompassing, but for me personally, I think there's a whole group of young guys, when you're in middle school and high school, we all kind of agreed on this thing that Justin Bieber was no good and he sucked. And the reason we all did that in middle school and high school is because, all the pretty girls really liked Justin Bieber. He had this song Baby, right? And it just made the girls love him, and he had this whole fan base of young girls. Well, as a young guy, you want all the young girls to be attracted to you. So there's this internal inferiority complex where you just start trashing on Justin Bieber every chance you get to see if you can convince those girls that he's not good and you should come over and talk to me, right? And it's a very selfish thing, and it's again an inherent thing. When we feel less than someone, we usually compare ourselves, start giving an F about the wrong thing. We're giving an F about how they're good at something we're not, and then we attack ourselves. Again, this plays out with just in normal life. You have people where it's like, wow, someone's doing really well. That makes me feel terrible about myself. Why does it make you feel terrible about yourself? Why is it their success making you feel like it's more possible that you can do the same thing that they're doing, right? Someone's success should inspire you to do the same things. If they can do it, you can do it as well. And you have to rewire your brain from this inferiority complex, essentially, to get to this place where you're like, oh, I can do that. Why not me? And that's what I want you to start doing. I want you to say, why not me, right? Why not? Why couldn't I do that, right? Why not? There's nothing special about people who do big things. It's just someone started believing about it. Someone started believing themselves, and they enthusiastically ran after their purpose. So it's what we need you to be doing, is start thinking this way, right? So I associated my feelings of disgust with Justin Bieber. Therefore, I trashed on him. And people do this with all sorts of things. There's this time in high school where I was playing soccer with my girlfriend at the time, and kicking around a soccer ball or whatever, and I started juggling the ball, and she's like, wow, you're such a show off. My feelings, I was like, oh, okay, I guess I won't juggle the ball. And so we kicked the ball around in a different way or whatever, and it was something that didn't seem to threaten her at the time. And I'm sure she's not like this. This is not a smear on her whatsoever. It's just a situational thing that happened in my life. And when we are the person who is judging the other person, we're being all negative. You need to stop doing this, and here's why. You don't know the background story of why they're doing what they're doing. So for me, the reason, it must have been junior or senior year of high school. My freshman year of high school, I got benched from soccer. I was just didn't play more than 5 minutes a game, and I would travel to these soccer games with my older two brothers, both starting at the time. And I would sit on the bench and watch everybody play. I'd go warm up. I'd spend like 4 hours of my afternoons essentially just doing nothing, just kind of being a part of the team. And it was like the worst feeling in the entire world. And I remember driving home every night. We had a 3-person little 1999 Ford truck, F-150 or something, these tiny little seats, and I'm in the middle between my sweaty brothers who both played, and I didn't play at all. And it was just the most degrading feeling ever. And I remember getting home, and I would go outside, it was dark out, and I would run around the house like 10 times with a soccer ball to try to get better at this sport. And that entire summer, I remember practicing like almost every day my juggling skills so I could juggle, so I would be able to be better at this sport, because I really enjoyed playing. I was really competitive. I liked to win, and I really didn't like feeling inferior to everybody, for sure. That was part of the motivation, but something about playing college soccer or being at the next level always was just, wow, sounded really glorious to me. I just felt like I could get better if I did my best. And so I pushed really hard. I got a lot better. And, the next 3 years, I started every single game for my high school, and so the moment of juggling in front of the girlfriend at the time was just me playing soccer. I'd put in all of this work and these tears, and I remember coming back and being so upset. It would bother me for days sometimes, because I just felt like I couldn't. It was just so frustrating to me that I wasn't good enough to go play, or I wasn't getting chosen, right? And this happens. I'm not a victim or whatever. I changed my circumstances. I started to work harder, and I got to go play. And so me juggling was just like a reaction to having a soccer ball. In my mind, it was never showing off, right? So her saying that negative thing, I gave too many F's about it. I shouldn't have cared. There's definitely times where you can, show off on purpose and different things like that. And I'm not, advocating for you to be arrogant, but the whole point is that there was a story behind the thing that I was doing, and her feeling like she can't juggle, therefore, wow, you're showing off, I can't do that, was actually a reflection of her mentality, and it wasn't a negative thing about what I was doing. But when people say stuff like that, we associate the negative thing they're saying with something negative about us, when it's really more about them and their own inferiority complex. That was pretty good, I feel like, right? So me juggling made her feel inferior, right? Her inferior, attack that person, bring him down to my level. I get my feelings hurt when I shouldn't. It doesn't matter. It's really more of her. And instead, I should not care. And maybe around her, I don't do that thing. Who knows? Whatever, at least at that point in time, right? But it really doesn't mean that you should change who you are, what you're doing. You should just filter the opinions of the people around you, right? So basically how we grew up, there's these inferiority complexes in people around us. We all kind of have them or used to have them. You can grow out of them 100%. You absolutely should be trying to do that. That's what we're trying to do on the show right now, is how to not give an F about what people think, right? Everyone's trying to feel good about themselves. And so when we don't feel good, we'll attack people, and that attack in turn will make that other person not feel good, and we'll all be miserable together. And then we have these feedback loops from hell that comes like, oh man, I shouldn't take that personally, and oh man, I'm taking it personally, and then we do these things, and it just slows us down from doing big things in life where we're actually going to go help some people. Because if you're even mildly successful at things, there's other people who are younger than you, there's other people who are older than you, there's other people your same age that probably would like to learn how to do that, if you're willing to go out there and put yourself out there and not give an F what everyone else thinks. Like the first time I ever made an episode, that was the most nerve-wracking thing ever. I just was like, you're just sweating. You're like, oh, what's everyone going to think? And you get it out there and you realize, oh, it's not a big deal. And even if someone doesn't like it, they're probably not going to tell you unless you ask for some feedback, which feedback's super important. If you want to grow, you got to be able to ask for feedback and not give an F and just learn from it. It's not a personal attack most of the time, right? So, okay, so let's watch this other quick video really quick. Because the solution to this, right, to not give an F, to not basically attack people, being either side of that coin, where you're believing what others say, where you're getting your own personal internal feedback loop, or you're attacking people, what you have to do is find something better to worry about than what other people think. But the reason you give too many Fs about what everyone else is thinking is you don't have something more important to be thinking about. Super important. So here, let's watch this video. We can watch what Mark Manson says about it.
Indifference is impossible. If you give a about nothing, then you are giving a about giving a about nothing.
You always care. You have to always care, right? So this is really important.
It is impossible to not give a about something. Therefore, the question is, what do you give a about? And kind of the conclusion that arises is that if you give a about a few very important things, then the small things cease to bother you so much. Subtlety number 2 is to not give a about adversity, you must first give a about something more important than adversity. So if you're always worrying about what people think about you, the problem is not what people think about you. The problem is you don't have anything better to worry about. If you're always worried about how much money you have, the problem is not how much money you have. The problem is that you don't have anything better to worry about.
Huge, this is purpose. You don't have purpose. If you are worried about what people think, if you're worried about how much money you make, you're worried about your status, all of these kinds of things are because you don't have a big enough purpose. If you're at the point where all these things are bothering you, you're not worried enough about reaching your purpose and helping other people in your life. And that is your problem. That's why this show literally exists. And if you will take the time to master your purpose and focus on that type of stuff, you will conquer all of these things and will stop bothering you, because because when you start thinking about, man, all of these like people I think about, all of these business owners, all of these students in college, all these young professionals, all these adults, all these parents trying to figure out what the heck they want to do with their life. And I imagine these people, hopefully, and just by some small smidge of me talking on this podcast platform or on this YouTube channel, that somebody gets inspired to go and figure out their purpose of how their life matters, and then they go and help somebody because of it. If only one person does it, that's amazing. I will go through all of the negative comments I would ever have to, even though there's like not a ton on this show. There's like not a ton of negative comments, but I would go through all of that stuff in order for those people to have a better life. And I don't give a F about what anyone else thinks, because I'm just trying to help those people. I don't care about naysayers. I don't care about people who don't believe in me. I don't care about people who, basically just completely disagree with me, because I know what I'm trying to do is a pure heart and trying to help other people. Solution number 1, find your purpose. And I think it's episode 33, or it's like the episode's called Start With Why, a lesson from Simon Sinek. That link will be in the description. You should go watch that. At the end of that video, we talk about a be, do, have list of how you can figure out what your purpose is based on this simple scenario. What do you want your child to say about you at your funeral? And what do you want them to not say about you? That's how you get started. You think about, what's the legacy of qualities that I want to sum up my life, and what I want that to not be. And then you can start thinking about what your purpose actually is. But that link's in the description. You need to check that out. It's just right down there. The second solution to this, right? So not only do you have to have your purpose, but you've got to get out of this thing I call a comparison trap. There's this really good quote. It says that comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison is the thief of joy. And if you're constantly comparing yourself, like all these people do with inferiority complexes, just like I did when I was younger, and like my girlfriend at the time did, and like we get emotional sometimes, right? Hopefully we can stop comparing ourselves, but we usually do that. Like one of the things I do that in my own life, which is so dumb, and I'm actively working to not do this, is in music. Sometimes I just attack myself on music because I'm just frankly underconfident with it, even though I love doing it. And a friend of mine loves, every time I see him, he's like, play some songs for me. He's the most encouraging person ever, right? You gotta have people like that in your life. And but I gotta stop comparing myself, just like you gotta stop comparing yourself with XYZ LMNOP thing that you're doing, that you're talking yourself out of. One that's pretty prevalent is like weight loss. It's like, oh, like I could never do that. That person's like this. Or one's like running a business or sales. Like, well, that person does it, but I can't. Quit trying to differentiate yourself and comparing yourself to everybody. The only thing you should compare yourself to is your effort. Am I doing the best I could possibly doing? Am I trying my best? Am I the best version of myself? Compare yourself and put yourself on the test of your purpose, and you won't care what anyone else is doing. If you want to go impact some people, if you want to go change some lives, there's going to be a natural order of your talents, a natural number of things you have to do in order to go help people based on your talents and your purpose and your mission. You're going to have to go figure those things out and go push through all the failure that is required in order to become that type of person, in order to effect change on the world, which means you have to not care at all, because you're going to get pushback. You will get pushback if you want to go help some people. Comment below your thoughts on that. Awesome, guys. So new segment right here. Many of you guys know I've started a consulting business where I am helping businesses, business owners, salespeople, realtors, musicians. Just got a new client there. And that front, basically grow their businesses in a sustainable way by creating systems in place with social media, sales processes, and branding to essentially build a model that works for you instead of you working for the business model. And that's something I love doing. And if you're somebody who owns a business, is interested in learning more about that, or ever has questions, just let me know. Comment in the description. There's going to be a little form that you can fill out to contact me anytime that you need to. I'm always open for that. What this segment is going to be about is essentially how all of these mentalities relate to growth in business, because it's so funny. Everything I talk about on the show, I talk about with my clients in my lessons every single week, and it all has to do with mentality and purpose. Literally just had a meeting today, and it's hard to be motivated to go grow a business if there's no meaning behind the business. You have to have a purpose, right? So if you master your purpose, you'll grow your business, right? And so, let's watch this really quick. 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, really good book. We'll watch this video with John Maxwell explaining the law of the lid, and this plays out really well in life, and how to not give an F really matters in this as well with leadership and different things like that. So let's watch this really quick.
If this hand is my leadership, and if this hand is my business. In other words, my company, my department that I'm overseeing. Okay, whatever I'm in charge of, here's what I want you to understand. My department, my business, my company, my organization, here's what I want you to understand. The lid of my leadership will never allow my business to get any higher. It'll never allow in other words, if this truly is my leadership lid, my company, my business, my department, my organization, whatever it is, it can never get any higher than the lid of my leadership. In other words, your leadership, my leadership, our leadership lid, whatever it is going to literally control and determine the size of our business.
This is huge. This is huge, right? If you never thought about this before, right? Your mentality determines how you run your businesses. The process and everything come from you, and your leadership ability, your skills, how you think about things, right? How you tackle problems determines your mentality, right? And your identity determines your mentality, right? Which comes from basically giving an F what people think or not. And the Pygmalion effect, which we can cover in another episode, is basically just how you internalize external stimulus, essentially what people say about you, whether you believe it or not. And so what happens is your identity determines all of these different things, and how hard you work to basically learn leadership principles, and it creates this lid, right? It creates this top to your success in life and what you can do. And so you have to be developing leadership all the time. Here's a great example. Let's say that you have a person who is the chef for LeBron James, best chef on the planet. LeBron James pays her a bunch, or him or whatever. And so this person decides, okay, I'm gonna go start a food truck business. I'm really good at this food thing. And they go start a food truck, and they get out there, and the food's amazing. Everybody loves it. And she starts to hire help, and she hires help, but every 6 months, everybody quits. So she can never buy another truck because she doesn't have anyone reliable to work with her. And what she realizes is that everyone's quitting, even though she's the best chef. They don't like how she treats them, or he treats them, right? And so therefore, the leadership is causing this talented person to limit how fast their business grows, right? And they're going to get stuck at one truck unless she basically he changes how he or she interacts with their employees, right? And that's a direct example of how this plays out like in real life, right? So your ability to affect change, help people grow a business, run a business, it's literally that law of the lid, right? How you think determines your leadership, right? Because if you think about how your business grows, right, it's completely determined by the processes that you can creatively come up with and the steps that you'll take to grow your business. So how to not give an F comes up because in order to grow into a better leader, you have to stop giving an F. Like here's like 4 or 5 categories that this plays out in life and in business, right? So doing hard things like sales. Sales is really difficult, and in order to do it, you have to not give an F about rejection. You have to have a bigger purpose of why you're doing what you're doing to be able to get through the rejection it takes to be successful in sales, because rejection, literally in your brain, the way it works is it feels like physical pain when people tell you no. And you have to get mentally tough enough to overcome that. If there's not a big reason, people quit that type of stuff all the time, or they avoid it. And if you don't have that meaningful, bigger purpose, right, then you're going to be worrying about the wrong things. You're going to be worrying about what people think. In order to decide your brand direction, you have to decide to brand towards a certain type of people and not to others. You have to not give an F what that whole other group you're not branding to, what they care about, right? In order to grow your business, in order to become a better leader, you have to overcome failure, which means you have to not give an F about screwing up in front of people. I mean, the first workshop, the first speaking event you ever do, you're probably going to suck. The first product you come out with, the first service, there's going to be mistakes, and you have to not give an F about that and just realize that is a natural course and progression in the growth of your business and your leadership, right? If you want to invent a new product, everyone might think you're crazy at first. You have to not give an F if you want to go change the world, build out a new industry, right, that may not even exist, for example. For example, I got a friend, and he's come up with this incredible thing. He's an engineer. He's made this like really unique abrasive for all these for basically getting rust off of different ships. And so he started a company with some friends. They built this out, and it's way better than what they currently have. And the big businesses in this industry, in this sector, are basically using their entire budget to try to market these guys out of the sector because their product is better than what they have, right? So you have to not give an F about all that pressure and keep going, right? Because all these big companies have millions of dollars in their budgets that can squash little tiny companies, even if they have something better. So you have to not give an F. You have to keep pushing forward, right? So what are your thoughts on this? Comment below with what you think about, what we just talked about, and how it relates to business. Okay, sweet. So before we finish up our episode, a quick message from our sponsors with Campus Cuts by Monica. If you're somebody who goes to the University of Tennessee and you are a man and you like to look good, especially with awesome hairstyles, you should go to Campus Cuts with Monica on the Strip, or that's Cumberland Avenue for you locals. Go down there, get a haircut. She's pretty awesome. Tell them Joe Ignace, Now What You Got sent you. And there's pool, there's refreshments. You'll love it. So Campus Cuts by Monica, that Instagram will be in the description below. All right, sweet. So finishing up, right, just as a recap, if you want to go be a good leader, if you want to go grow your business, if you want to go impact people, it all comes down to your purpose, right? Because if you don't have a purpose that's big enough that you give an F about enough, then you're going to give an F about all the wrong things, all the small things like people's opinions about you, which we now know are based on inferiority complexes. So when someone insults you, the problem's with them, not you. If you're insulting people, then the problem is with you, right? So you need to realize that people have inferiority complexes. They want to feel good about themselves. People will do anything to feel good about themselves, including destroying other people's confidence so you can all be miserable together. We want to get away from that. So stop giving an Fs, stop caring. It will help you go fail. It will help you learn from that. It will help you grow and develop your leadership. And that all starts with your purpose and having a bigger thing to worry about than what everyone else thinks about. To finish up, we've got my favorite artist of all time. If you know me, Ed Sheeran. He's got a song called I Don't Care. He's got this live version that he does acoustically. I love acoustic music, if you know me. And he got this song. These lyrics are amazing. So we're just going to listen to this really quick and we'll end our episode. It's called a harmony and he's good at it.
I'm at a party I don't wanna be at, and I don't ever wear a suit and tie. Wondering if I can sneak at the back. Nobody's even looking me in my eyes. Then you take my hand, finish my drink, say shall we dance? Hell yeah. You know I love you, did I ever tell you? You make it better like that. Don't think I fit in at this party. Everyone's got so much to say. Yeah, I always feel like I'm nobody. Who wants to fit in anyway?
Man, such a good song. I love that song. And the lyrics are so good, right? You know, he talks about just being at a party he doesn't want to be at. And there's another verse in there later on, if you listen to the rest of the song, where he says, I'm crippled with anxiety. I don't know where I'm supposed to be, but I really don't mind, you know, because he's got a bigger purpose. He's got the person that he's with, this girl that he's with that is making him happy, and he doesn't mind being there. Everything else kind of disappears, right? And so this really relates to not giving an F. Is when you have a bigger purpose right in front of you, you really stop worrying about the things that you shouldn't give an F about. So you just start giving an F about the right stuff. And if you've ever, you know, had a girlfriend, spouse, you know, significant other or whatever, and you go and you hate dancing, but you will go dance in front of everyone in the goofiest way ever, and you literally don't give an F when you do it, it's because you care about that person more than the opinions of everybody else around you. This really does bleed through in every single aspect of your life, from leadership, success, you know, life principles, you know, dating, relationships, and how to grow your business all at the same time. Hopefully that was helpful to you guys. Really appreciate you listening. And if you're not a subscriber, what are you doing? You need to subscribe right now. Click the button, subscribe, be a part of our community, guys. We're building a community of purpose-driven people that want to go make an impact in the world, that want to go help others through all these different avenues of, you know, building relationships, growing their businesses. We're all doing this to help and for a bigger picture and something bigger than ourselves. And so I want to invite you to be a part of that, you know, and join our motivational weekly newsletter, you know, that's written by Derek Uba. He crushes it. And just want to give a shout out to my editor, Howard, and my marketing intern, Riley, for helping putting a lot of this stuff together. They're super helpful, and I really appreciate those guys. So until next time, guys, live purpose-driven, always do something, always have a reason behind why you're doing what you're doing. So appreciate you.
'Cause I don't care when I'm with my baby, yeah. All the bad things disappear. Yeah, you're making me feel like maybe I am somebody. I can deal with the bad night when I'm with my baby, yeah.